Translation. Your lotus feet are the true vessel to take one across the ocean of mundane nescience. Only persons deprived of their intelligence by the spell of the deluding energy will worship those feet with a view to attain the trivial and momentary pleasures of the senses, which even persons rotting in hell can attain. However, O my Lord, you are so kind that you bestow mercy even upon them. Purport. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, 7th chapter, there are two kinds of devotees, those who desire material pleasures and those who desire nothing but service to the Lord. Material pleasures can be attained even by hogs and dogs, whose condition of life is hellish. The hog also eats, sleeps, and enjoys sex life to the full extent, and it is also very satisfied with such hellish enjoyment of material existence. Modern yogis advise that because one has senses, one must enjoy to the fullest extent, like cats and dogs, yet one can go on and practice yoga. This is condemned here by Kadama Muni. He says that such material pleasures are available for cats and dogs in a hellish condition. The Lord is so kind that if so-called yogis are satisfied by hellish pleasures, He can give them facilities to attain all the material pleasures they desire, but they cannot attain perfectional stage attained by Kadama Muni. Hellish and demonic persons do not actually know what is the ultimate attainment in perfection, and therefore they think that sense gratification is the highest goal of life. They advise that one can satisfy the senses and at the same time, by reciting some mantra and by some practice, can cheaply aspire for perfection. Such persons are described here as Hatha Medasaha, which means those whose brains are spoiled. They aspire for material enjoyment by perfection of yoga or meditation. In Bhagavad Gita, it is stated by the Lord that the intelligence of those who worship the demigods has been spoiled. Similarly, here too it is stated by Kadama Muni that one who aspires after material enjoyment by practice of yoga has spoiled his brain substance and is full number one. Actually, the intelligent practitioner of yoga should aspire for nothing else but to cross over the ocean of nescience by worshipping the personality of Godhead and to see the lotus feet of the Lord. The Lord is so kind, however, that even today, persons whose brain substance is spoiled are given the benediction to become cats, dogs, or hogs and enjoy material happiness from sex life and sense gratification. The Lord confirms this benediction in Bhagavad Gita. Whatever a person aspires to receive from me, I offer him as he desires. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavanishari Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langaite girim yat kripa tamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Third canto, 21st chapter, conversation between Manu and Kadama. Text 14. Your lotus feet are the true vessel to take one across the ocean of mundane nations. Only persons deprived of their intelligence by the spell of the deluding energy will worship those feet with a view to attain the trivial and momentary pleasures of the senses, which even persons rotting in hell can attain. However, O my Lord, you are so kind that you bestow mercy even upon them. Kadama Muni offering his prayers in direct view of the personality of Godhead. So this on its own trumps the idea, which is prevalent, that God is just an impersonal energy that pervades everything. Or the idea that indeed each living being is themselves God. That by performance of devotional service, Kadama Muni has attained the darshan of the personality of Godhead. And with his transcendental vision, just as we see in Bhagavad Gita, that divine eyes were given to Arjuna. He was upgraded from mundane vision to see the Lord in his position as the Supreme Lord. He was seeing him definitely as his friend and cousin and his charioteer, but he was not able to see him as the supreme cause of all causes, all that be. And the Lord began there by showing him universal form, which is explained to be just a feature of the Lord to facilitate neophytes to see that the actual universe is actually the body of the Lord. But eventually, when Arjuna could not take that vision, it was fearful, ghastly. Arjuna was now offering obeisances or from front, from back. And he was saying, I cannot actually bear this vision. Please show again your original form. And the Lord showed his forearm form. And then again he showed his sudarshan, auspicious darshan, two-armed form. It was not easy to see. So here Kadama Muni, before the Lord, is offering prayers. And he begins by glorifying the lotus feet of the Lord. It is said when we're getting the darshan of the Lord, I don't know, with Shishinitai Mahaprabhu Chandra, because they are so mini-me, that when we have to begin by seeing the lotus feet. But the eyeball, with deities that are big, it's not so easy to discipline the eyes to first go and look at the feet. We naturally want to rush to see the beautiful face of the Lord, and especially when the deity is not so big in size, also you get to just view them directly. Here, the auspiciousness of it all is that you also have to find the face of the Lord. You have to find those feet. You have to really try to see. I was reminded that, yes, it's not so cheap. We see that when we go to South India. Those temples there, you find thousands of people lining up to get darshan. And then that darshan is maybe couple of seconds sometimes. So there you get to understand that the Supreme Personality of God is indeed the most important and rare sight to behold. That to see God is not cheap. Gaudiya Vaishnava lines, North India, Krishna, Radha Krishna, we find Sitaram, Lakshman. Some of these temples is hours of darshan. You can stand there and stare, and to the point that even we take for granted that darshan, that we are there and we are just involved in our own discussions about love, life, etc. So this seeing the Lord for the devotees is the perfection of their vision. And that is why when impersonalists say that the Lord is without form, niraka, it's a great offense. The beloved of the devotees whom they drink in with their vision, whose lotus feet are their all in all, is being insulted. He has no hands, he has no legs, he has... hence you find, especially the Vaishnavacharyas, always taking any opportunity to decry Mayavad philosophy, to shoot it down, to cancel it. And here this testimony, personal vision of Kadamba Muni, nullifies this ludicrous idea that the Lord has no personal form. And beginning with the lotus feet, what is a specialty here? That the lotus feet are said to be the true vessel through which one can cross over the ocean of material existence. And this is already a transcendental affair. How are the feet of the Lord a vessel that carries one across the ocean of material existence? Lotus, as we hear time and time again, lotus feet, lotus eye. The specialty of the lotus flower is that although it is growing within the muddy waters, that flower is always above the water, is never touched by the water. So it transcends the environment upon which it has grown. So it is transcendental. So transcendental means above. So the feet of the Lord, the lotus feet of the Lord, means they are transcendental from the influence of material existence. And so whoever catches hold of those lotus feet directly by one's meditation, remembrance, by glorifying those lotus feet, one similarly transcends the influence of the material nature. So Kadamba Muni is saying, when such a transcendental vessel of the lotus feet of the Lord is available to ferry us across, who are those people who are deprived of this? It's only those whose intelligence has been deluded by material energy. Whose intelligence has been deluded by material energy. The examples are given in the purport itself, in the 7th chapter, in relation to the demigods. Antavatu phalam tesham, tad bhavati alpamedasam, devan devat yajomam, mad bhakta yanti mamapi. That men of small intelligence, they worship the demigods, and the fruits of such worship is temporary and limited. But my devotees, by worshipping me, eventually they come to me. So the Lord makes a distinction between worship of himself and worship of the demigods. We see that although the demigods can fulfill desires, but they are fulfilling generally desires within the material world. And this is the affliction of the conditioned soul, that he desires things and phenomena which bind him in this world. If you want something that is, it is said in the second chapter, while contemplating the objects of sense enjoyment, then one develops attachment for them. And this attachment leads to more desire, lust for them. You want them. And so, when lust seems to be fulfilled in this world, it turns into something dangerous called greed. Oh, I fulfilled my desire, then you become more greedy for it, you want it. Actually, you're more fortunate if lust is not fulfilled. You can get angry, punch the wall, or curse the world and your fate and maybe move on. But if lusty desires seem to be fulfilled, as Srila Prabhupada writes in 339, no amount of fuel can put out a fire. So if the desire is being fulfilled, it is like pouring more petrol into the fire. It simply blazes more. So when intelligence, which is like the next door neighbor of the soul, Srila Prabhupada writes, has been hijacked by lusty desires, they sit in the intelligence, in the senses, and in the mind. So when that intelligence has been hijacked, it's like your personal bodyguard is plotting with your enemy to assassinate you. After locking all the gates, setting the alarm, you are left with the same bodyguard who has decided to finish you off. So the intelligence is meant to act like a barrier, to keep out the enemy. Like say if there's this river here, some sort of it's not really a river, what would we call like a channel, a canal. So it's dug quite deep, so that if there's heavy rains, then the waters are contained within that canal. But if it's not, those walls aren't high enough, then the water can overflood and cause some devastation. So similarly, our impulses, our desires, they are like these rivers that are flowing, and they want some attention, they want to be fulfilled. But if we have high walls of strong intelligence, how is that intelligence made strong? By cultivating spiritual knowledge. If we understand that not all desires need to be fulfilled. Some desires have to be neglected, and some desires have to be rerouted. You want to eat pizza. That's fair. Pizza is nice. But don't just go to Panarotis or wherever and just grab pizza, prepare pizza and offer it to Krishna. Krishna can understand, yes, the pizza is your desire, but at least you are bringing it to him first. You are offering him and taking his remnants. So that will be rerouting your desires from just eating kami grains at the shop, then now it becomes prasadam grains. You get your pizza and you get purified because it is prasadam. So it is stated in the 5th chapter, Bhagavad Gita, 5:22. Ye hi samspasha jaboga dukaya yena evate adyantavanta konte nate shuramate Buddha. That the wise, they don't take their pleasure in the sources of misery, which have a beginning and an end, adyantavanta. So sense enjoyment, sense pleasure, one can say, come on, everywhere we're hearing this sense enjoyment is a problem, what are we supposed to do then? Should we just like die? Because only a dead man has no sense enjoyment. I have these senses and I must engage them somehow. I didn't create this relationship of my senses to so many sense objects. Like if we sit here and they're cooking in the kitchen, is it our fault that our noses would smell whatever is being cooked? Is it my fault that when I'm walking past the shop, I can see the clothes displayed by the window? One Maharaj was saying, he said, yes, I'm a sannyasi, but I mean, even I know which woman is beautiful within 1 minute when I enter a room. So perception can hardly be stopped. That's not our method, that we have blindfolds and close our ears and we shut our noses that we cannot perceive anything. But it is when we perceive things, how do we then act on them? So there it says those who are wise, they understand that by indulging one's senses in those things that will just be a beginning and an end. And it's very temporary, momentary. Like take that pizza that you went to get at a shop, kami shop or whatever. Eating just means, okay, you may think about it. And you go there and you have full fantasy how you will enjoy. But then the enjoyment part is just this area. You put in your mouth, some tongue, some chewing. Once it goes down the throat, no more tasting that pizza. You have to take another bite. And then maybe you start to enjoy that the belly is getting full. Since it has beginning and end, it's momentary, it's temporary. After a few minutes, we just had a situation where we were being given pizza. You cannot eat the pizza the whole day or eat pizza for 3 hours straight. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then it's over. But the mind later may still not be satisfied. Like the next day you're thinking about that pizza. If only it would be here now, how I would enjoy. Did you think about it the next day?
Not really. No.
Did you remember it at least?
Yeah.
I definitely did remember it. When I was waiting for breakfast here, I was just like, I can't believe yesterday I was just so quickly done. So it is then a process of repeated approach for something that you only become just satiated. You cannot take more, but you're not satisfied. Mature life means the platform of dissatisfaction. So those who are wise, they deal with the senses just for the bare minimum of staying alive. So that always rings very sad, because our mission in this life is to enjoy. Now the devotees are just saying just to keep body and soul together. Oh, what a clean lifestyle, you know. We're just staying alive. But it's not just staying alive for the sake of staying alive. We are giving ourselves the opportunity to then enter into the ocean of devotion, where actually the reason we have eyes, we have ears, we have this tongue, these senses, we get to understand why these were created. We were recalling yesterday about the gopis of Vrindavan, that to do with their seeing Krishna, they are complaining and in fact criticizing what type of creator made these eyes that blink. Because the perfection of their vision is before them. To see Krishna is the most wonderful thing in life, that this blinking, which is, we don't even notice our eyes are blinking. For them, this is the greatest disturbance, because yugaitam nimeshena, that it feels like one yuga. How long is a yuga? For our sakes, in that translation, it's just written 12 years or more. Just so that it's not too bombastic. Imagine it said like 4,300,020,000 years or more. Like, why this exaggeration or something? You know, people would feel some way about this prayer. But even just 12 years. Today I just saw a picture, Facebook. You know, it holds all our memories. 16 years ago, today, Bhakti Swami took sannyas.
Real.
May not even be today, but maybe I posted the picture on this day. But yes, it's a long time ago. So blinking, feeling like, 12 years or more. So that means that vision of Krishna is so enchanting, so blissful, so wonderful, that 1/12 of a second is the greatest annoyance, that they're risking apparat. We're hearing they can criticize Lord Brahma, the greatest grandfather in the universe. So those gopis are exemplars of what the senses are meant to do. So devotional service is giving us entrance into that, where we can experience why the senses were created. Krishna left Vrindavan with the promise to come back. Just now coming, as they say. Of course, the scene is very moving. Devotees sometimes help us to enter into that mood, that Akrura has come, and they heard that he's coming. Even just hearing that someone is coming to take Krishna away was causing already so much distress to the gopis. They were thinking, how are the elders of Vrindavan allowing such a calamity? Sure enough, the chariot came. If someone is, you're being told, you get a nice text message, next week, an assassin from Johannesburg is coming to end your life. How much anxiety are you just hearing about that? And as the days are coming closer, and then sure enough you see a black car parking in the yard there, and the devotees are welcoming that assassin. Huh? Some are polishing his gun there.
Yeah.
So Akrura is coming to take their very life and soul away from Vrindavan. And then Nanda Maharaj, and then they're welcoming him. And now they're helping him onto the chariot. And they're thinking, how can they go along with this? That they eventually, although their relationship is hidden, the etiquette is, why would young girls show such affection to another boy? But they gave that up, that they ran and they were trying to hold the chariot. Others would say, better the chariot wheels just crush us. Others were meditating how Krishna's earrings, they swing back and forth, how his dhoti shimmers in the Vrindavan sun, his jokes. So drinking up their contact with Krishna, remembrance of Krishna, absorbed. So there, those are the wise, the devotees. They focus on the Lord to this extent, in that they derive such ecstatic joy. But anyway, as Krishna is true to his character, to drown everyone in pools of ecstasy. So he did leave. Although they were crying, although they were running behind it, he left. and he didn't come back. And the devotees were withering away in this fire of separation. 1 week, 2 months, years. It is said how many? Of 100 years or something. Krishna was gone. Then there was the eclipse that was coming. Kuruksetra. Everyone went there. Just a day or two ago, there was a solar eclipse, total eclipse. I think it was seen in America. According to Vedic Shastra, it's an inauspicious occurrence. It was being covered on all the news networks, and people were gathering to come and view the eclipse. And they were celebrating, cheering like as it was happening. But I was thinking, yes, material life is so dull and boring that for sure, even now I'm just thinking, hey, let's go see an eclipse. This is material life. What is night is day for the devotee, And they're not being guided by Shastra. Anyway, the devotees, because of the eclipse, they went to Kuruksetra, Dhammakshetra, Kuruksetra, a place of religiosity. They were in the back of their minds so eager to see Krishna. It's been many years. They could not leave their bodies because they were considering that if Krishna found out this would be hurting to him, displeasing to him. So for the sake of him, although they are burning in separation, that they feel, why should they maintain their life still? That hope that they'll see Krishna and that will be pleasing for him to see them. They could serve him and please him, they stayed alive. So now they are going to Kuruksetra to meet the Lord. But when they get there, this Krishna is different. Who's this? This is like some imposter, some fake Krishna. Oh. He's wearing all helmets and armor, he's riding a horse, like a prince, big guy. In Vrindavan, Krishna is simple, barefoot, with this peacock feather, playing his flute. He's a prankster. Nobody takes him so seriously. And now he's like this lordly guy, you can imagine, all armor. And now he comes to see his beloved devotees. And they just, no, we're not going to take this. What is this? No, it is, no. You have lost your mind. And out of love, we have to reclaim him back, get him back to his senses, drag him to Vrindavan. This is discussed as the beginning of Rath Yatra, one other side of it. But one of our acharyas is mentioning that, this is Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, men who are serious about bhajan, they worship Krishna in Kuruksetra. It was repeated by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur on a parikram. He told that men of shallow bhajan, they're in Vrindavan. But men of real bhajan worship Krishna in Kuruksetra. So his disciples are saying, Bhaktisiddhanta, every time he spoke, he was just blowing their minds. They were shocked. He said, when I heard this, it was as if I fell from the top of a tree, the shock. Vrindavan is known as the place of Krishna. And people who are trying to enter Vrindavan follow such high Vaishnavas. They live in Vrindavan and worship in Vrindavan. Ramya Kachit Vagena Vakalpita. Dharma Vrindavanam. It is said that the path of the gopis and the Dharma of Vrindavana is worshipable as Krishna himself. Mahaprabhu says there's no higher path than this. So what is Guru Maharaj saying? But this was just an insight that he was pointing out, that why Kuruksetra? Not Kuruksetra, the war scenario, but his point, as was revealed by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, was that at Kuruksetra, it has been hundreds of years of separation that these gopis have been undergoing. So their need for service is greatly, it's pronounced, it's the highest it can ever be. So when one gives you, for example, a meal, when you are just crawling with hunger, how much appreciation do you have for that meal? Then you feel someone tries to offer you something after you've eaten. Everyone, like this, they come the third time around, bro, any more paneer? But there, his point was that of all the gopis, Srimati Radharani, she's the crest jewel. What is her need for service or contact with Krishna? And he was saying, if one worships and remembers that and renders service to that Radharani who's yearning for years to unite with Krishna, then that service yields the greatest remuneration. And so when she's satisfied, she may just give whatever it is that she's tasting to you. And by tasting that, one would never want to deal with material existence again. The example is that they are getting to Kuruksetra, eager to see Krishna, just like people, we were watching World Cup a few years ago, whole world was absorbed. It's the final, and the stadium is packed, 120,000 people. And then the striker hits the ball, and it looks like it's going in, and it hits the pole. The whole stadium is like, oh! And you can imagine 120,000 people sighing together. Oh! They thought they just scored, but no. So they thought they finally found Krishna, but it's not him, man. It's some other variety of Krishna. Therefore, they need to score so badly, we're dragging him back to Vrindavan. So there is, the prospects of real enjoyment are in this relationship with Krishna. Whether it is union or separation, the living being will get the nectar that is hankering for through devotional service. Even the preliminary stages of devotional service, it is said, Kleshagni and Subhadha. Right at the beginning, we feel as though the weight of our problems has been cast off our shoulders. I know you remember that feeling as you are becoming involved with the devotees. You feel such auspiciousness, even your dhoti or your sari, you feel so saintly, right? Light. This is just at the beginning. So you can well imagine as one becomes purified. So only those whose intelligence has been stolen by Maya will not approach the Lord for entrance into such a prospect of joy and happiness and service. They will only be led astray by the mind. And the mind is doing that to us, The mind is like writing us checks that we cannot cash. If someone comes in and gives you a check, Prabhu, here's a donation, Prabhu, it's so nice, so nice. Like, you take the check to the bank, it bounces. Or you may think, okay, maybe something went wrong, something was written. You go back, Prabhu sees you again, says, Prabhu, here's another donation for you. You take the check, you go there, again it bounces, you cannot. Third time, fourth time, fifth time, will you even bother with this person? You fooled me once, shame on you. Fooled me twice, shame on. So if 3 times, it's just like you're asking yourself, how do you trust somebody who's not keeping to their word? So what is happening is that our minds, because they are full of memories and they are able to conjure up and fantasize and mix up some ideas of grand enjoyment, and they create so many stories for us how we will enjoy. But then when we get to the whole sin, we cannot, the body doesn't go through that, cannot cash in. Cannot cash in. Like we made the example of the food. Sometimes devotees have this thing, oh, we're going somewhere and we're going to enjoy so much. I want to say, people, just until you've eaten the prasad or whatever it is, and then say that, oh, that was wonderful. But this idea of heavy expectations, you haven't even dealt with the thing. So by then, if it doesn't live up to all the fantasies, you thought so-and-so's house, they're really going to bring it on. And sense enjoyment, like there's a whole industry glorifying sex enjoyment. And so much fantasy about how much enjoyment is there. But then the reality of the thing is that it is finished. And people are left dissatisfied and they are fighting. Because both had this idea that it's going to be like skydiving or something. Whatever that may be. People pay to skydive, and the whole time they're just screaming, bungee jumping, they pay money, and you're just horrified the whole time. But in your mind, it's going to be this spiritual thing, maybe it's just, flying through the air. So these are the checks that the mind is writing for us, and we cannot cash them. Hope against hope, material life is like that. It never takes away the hope that I will enjoy. So Kadama Muni is saying, don't be that guy who approaches the lotus feet of the Lord with the idea to get some temporary pleasure. That even though people approach, where Prabhupada is calling us clearly cats and dogs, you don't expect cats and dogs to have like a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan. Like when I'm 16, I'm going to live next to Table Mountain. They don't make such heavy plans. They just deal with whatever's going on in front of them. So a human being who is just looking for the next sense pleasure is like a cat and a dog. And in that cat-dog mindset, even when we come to the Lord, we can become so unfortunate that we are in front of the owner of everything, and we are just requesting for can you have just $20? You ask for 20 rands from a billionaire who says, ask for anything. But then he says, still, my Lord, you are so merciful that even though the unfortunate were misled by material energy through corrupt intelligence come and ask for such trivial things, still you facilitate them. That, you want to enjoy like this, you still get a body of a dog, a hog, camel, an ass, a bear, you can sleep as long as you want, can be a monkey and have sex indiscriminately like this and like that. Still, it is the Lord who is facilitated. Because the Lord, as Srila Prabhupada concludes his purport, he responds according to the desires of the living being. Yeyatamam papajam te tamsitaja pajam mama vatmanuvatam te manusya pata savasa. As they surrender to me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone's following my path in all respects. So there's nothing that one can achieve that is outside of the facilitation of the Lord. It is all with His energy that we are interacting with. But He wants surrender. He wants surrender. And that surrender He can give us more and more. So that it is said that is Hatha Medasa if we approach. Like we mentioned the verse about Tad Bhavati Alpa Medasa, approaching the demigods, is display of meager intelligence. Here, Hatha Medasa means your brains are spoiled. Yeah, it's a rotten brain. And Prabhupada writes here that these pleasures, in the translation, are available even for people rotting in hell. So why would we try to get things that are available in hell? So our prayer is that we accept the good fortune of devotee association, and good devotees will direct us to aspire for the service of the liberated souls who can drag us into the ever-increasing ocean of ananda in devotion. Anandam buddhi vadanam pratipadam punam pritaswadam savatma snapanam param vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. That is the entrance, that is the process, that's the attainment. Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. The kirtan of the name, the kirtan of about the form, the pastimes, everything. That will solve the problem.
Yes.
Srila Prabhupada ki.
Yes.
Any thoughts?
We're just talking about skydiving. And when we were in Melbourne. So we're in Melbourne, Australia. So I was still a new devotee, but we was trying to preach, and one young boy came through, and he was very excited about Krishna consciousness. He loved the kirtans. He was so excited, so ecstatic. As you were explaining, when you first come, you feel so much auspiciousness and the suffering is disappearing. So, but before coming in contact with us, he booked a skydiving, appointment. And so he was being on Harinam, doing kirtan programs, prasadam, and reading books, philosophy. But he already booked this, he already paid for it. So he's like, yeah, I got to do this skydiving thing. And it was kind of filmed, And he's like, yeah, I'll do it. And you see on the film, like, they're setting him up on the plane and everything, and he's not that excited. He's even going up, further up, So excited. It even films his face when he's going down, Jumps off the plane, and he's just like, looking around, and yeah, it's all right, lands it, Even the guy said, yeah, how do you feel? He's like, yeah, I'm okay, yeah, it was good. The excitement of Krishna consciousness just like dulled jumping off, the thrill of jumping off a plane. So that's what I thought of when you mentioned about the mind offering skydiving.
I got enough voice. Oh, but you want to speak to the thing? I like what you said. I like what you said about the eclipse. Like human beings, we love this life, and then we get excited about anything. Like, oh, there's an eclipse. It's amazing. They gather, get YouTube channels, broadcast, Facebook Live, everything. And then any small thing, like you said, the world is suffering. So any little enjoyment outside that scope someone's trying to, signal, there's a sunrise, everyone goes to that, youngsters. So I never thought about it like that. I've seen it, of course, with my own eyes, but, just the way you said it, like it's excitement, any small thing, we magnify it, yeah. So something different that I heard, I know these things, but it was just now to click in my head more better. Yeah, it was definitely good. Like anything they do, there's a concert, everyone gets excited. Yeah, yeah, and that's awesome, bro. Yeah, thank you. Like small things.
We forget all this.
Yeah, so it's like we want to get up and do something. Unconsciously we do it. That excitement.
I have one interesting thing about, you said that Arjuna, he got his vision upgraded and he saw the universal form. There is an interesting comment on this by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He says that his vision was downgraded because Divyam Dadami Te Chakshu means that he got Divyam eyes, the divine eyes. But this divine, he comments, it's from demigods, like the demigods have this vision. So you had vision of pure love for me, of prema, but in order to see my universal form, you have to have divyam vision. Yes, the vision of the demigods to see my universal form.
It's very nice in that we can see an upgrade from human vision, but even that upgrade is a downgrade because there's something much better. The vision of the Premanjana Charita Bhakta. Yeah, that's only those who know the greatest, right? They can really tell us what is the standard of real happiness and enjoyment. Because even in this world, so many authorities are telling people what is high-class enjoyment, what is first-class living. And it's just, as Prabhupada put it, creating so-called first-class prisoners, platinum handcuffs, golden handcuffs. No one can make them aware that this is all binding. Divyam Gyan. So in this case, divine eyes was just what the demigods could see. Yeah? Hare Krishna, thank
you. You started the class about taking things for granted. For example, darshan, and it's not cheap, and it's very like it's very it's a great benediction upon us, but we can't appreciate it. How can we develop that appreciation and not take it for granted? It seems very far for us due to being like maybe Kali Yuga dull.
We are really like dependent on our Sangha. The quality of our association will dictate actually how we prioritize different things in our life. So those devotees who have appreciation for whatever aspect of devotional service that we may find a lack, we should really take shelter of, try to serve them, associate with them. Then by their enthusiasm, their depth of appreciation, we can also gain it. You may have this experience, at Vyasa Pujas. When you hear different devotees, disciples, whoever well-wish, appreciate, whether it's Prabhupada or whichever senior devotee, you may find that I didn't have such type of appreciation. But by hearing from those with that appreciation or experience, then our own appreciation becomes enhanced. So either we are hearing about it or we are directly in the association of those who live in a deeper gratitude. That helps a lot. I give that example, we were in Melbourne and I was sick, basically, whole time sick since schoolies, coughing and everything. But we went to Melbourne, it was cold and raining, but because Harinamananda is Harinamananda and it's Harinam every day. Every day we were thinking, not today I can't make it. But still we were going out there, not today maybe I won't sing. And practically every day we were singing the whole and my understanding of that is that it's not due to my taste or desire to do these things, but because I was in the association of someone who has that taste and determination to do them, then I was also involved. And some or the other, maybe some blessing or credit will come to me also. But it was definitely not my appreciation of Harinam.
I think it's from my dad.
You were feeling also that your dad wants to go. His father, his lungs are like, get issues, he's been in hospital, he's on medication. You can hear him wheezing every day. But he's like, I haven't had Harinam for X amount of months. Now that you propose here, I'm coming every day. He's already ready, pacing outside, waiting for us to come. So, okay, so his enthusiasm is also pushing him, and so like that you can see the chain of association. Yeah. Thank you very much. Kanchal Shrimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Jai.